What are you staring at? You got a problem with my face? Inosuke's snarl snapped you out of your trance. His big sea-glass eyes and dense black lashes struck you as far too soft to belong to the barbaric boy who headbutts people for fun. Oh, no! I just didn't know you were so... pretty. Yeah, pretty feral, Zenitsu mumbled under his breath with a pout. The envious brine tainting his tone was potent enough to salt a snail. Eh? You and your fake hair got something to say to me? I told you already! It's natural! Ah, I don't care what color it is. It won't stop me from tearing it out. And with that, the chase began. Tanjiro let out an exhausted sigh as the two capricious boys ran laps around the little square dinner table. Stop running and fight me like a man! This time Zenitsu abruptly ducked behind you, gripping onto the back of your yukata. Traveler-chan, make him stop! If you think I won't hit a girl to get to you, you're wrong, Zenitsu! Inosuke! Tanjiro's voice rang harsh in the chaos. Oh, don't you dare! The blonde shrieked in distaste, wrapping his arms around your neck in a vice-like protective manner. Don't worry, Traveler-chan, I won't let him hurt you. Despite Inosuke's threat, he actually halted in place. I bet she can take a punch better than you damn daffodil! The passionate edge in Inosuke's voice made Tanjiro stand up to intervene, but you already held up your hands. It's okay, Inosuke! He didn't mean it that way. He, was just trying to tell you how robust and skilled in the wilderness you are. Right, Zenitsu? You shot him a significant glance over your shoulder and he nodded. Oh, why didn't you just say so? The boy instantly plopped onto his butt and resumed ungracefully eating, dousing the fire of aggression faster than Tanjiro's elegant water swordsmanship. The remaining three of you exchanged glances over the abrupt mood change. Brute. This time Zenitsu made sure to mutter his comment quiet enough for your ears only. His grip loosened and instead he hooked arms with you affectionately, dropping his head onto your shoulder and rubbing it with his cheek. You're so charming, Traveler-chan. You can tame even the wildest beasts with your musical voice, just like the princesses in fairy tales. You bit back a snort, knowing the animal he was referring to was Inosuke. You simply have to marry me. Enough of this, Zenitsu! She's not interested! You were surprised at the ferocity that erupted out of Tanjiro, but you figured even he had a limit to his patience. This is none of your business, Tanjiro, so stay out of it! The dark-haired male's eye definitely twitched. Zenitsu's voice instantly turned back into melted sugar when he addressed you again. You will marry me, won't you? He batted his eyelashes in the most alluring way he could manage, his very best attempt to win you over. Can you pay a dowry? Oh, well, no. Not right now, but Then there's your answer. You shrugged and Tanjiro smirked. That was easily the most logical and unbiased refusal he'd ever heard in his life. Zenitsu must have felt the same, if the perplexed way he blinked at you was any indication. Inosuke threw his head back with a laugh. Pah! Rejected! That's enough out of you! Zenitsu snapped before letting out a pointed, humph. His posture sunk in defeat as he returned to the meal, and the only thing you could think to do to cheer his doldrums was to shove food in his mouth as consolation. So that's what you did. His wide-eyed look of surprise made you giggle, which in turn made Zenitsu blush. It was now you caught Tanjiro smiling warmly across the table at you. It was moments like these where he felt less guilty about inflicting his unpredictable companions on you, as you seemed to handle them just fine. You even did it politely, thoughtfully, without hurting their delicate egos. But this was just one of the reasons he was growing fond of you. If you get cold, come back to me and I'll keep you warm, Zenitsu cooed as you bid the boys goodnight. Dial it back a bit, Tanjiro stated flatly, draping his haori over your shoulders to prepare you for the short walk outside. You're the reason she's staying in the other room in the first place. Oh! The blonde gasped at the accusation, and you muffled a laugh. The night prior, Zenitsu had accidentally scrambled into your bed during his slumber, seeking warmth and cuddles. The humorous thing about it was actually the first time you hadn't been plagued by his boisterous snoring. He didn't make a peep while squashed against you, save for a few contented little sighs. However, while the noise level was peaceful, your oxygen levels were quite restricted, as he'd somehow found a way to wrap himself around you like a boa constrictor. That's how Tanjiro found you the next morning. But she didn't mind it! Right, Traveler-chan? You almost suffocated her! Tanjiro assumed Big Brother mode. She's staying across the way until you can learn to keep your hands to yourself! You felt a light press of his palms on your shoulders, a hint that it was time for you to get moving. You obeyed and Zenitsu let out a whine. Sweet dreams, Traveler-chan! He called out to you and you waved back at them. Once the door to their room had closed, he pouted. Ugh, you're so cruel, Tanjiro. Hearts can die of loneliness, you know. You'd have died ages ago. Ah, shut up! Finally, he slumped onto his futon parallel with Inosuke. It was quiet for a bit before he noticed the third boy had yet to lie down. What's wrong, Tanjiro? He blinked out of his thoughts. Oh, nothing. I was just remembering what was said at dinner. What about it? I guess I'm just wondering if a dowry is really necessary. Keep talking, Tanjiro. I mean, don't you think so? He turned towards the intrigued blonde. There are far more important things than money, like how faithful and protective a man can be, or how he'll father his children. If you think about it, none of us have any real stability to offer her. He stared up at the ceiling. But I, for one, think love and loyalty are less fleeting than money. So I could assure her family she'd be rich in those. You're right, money's not everything, Inosuke said, agreeing with him for once. What are you doing, Zenitsu? That's good stuff. Keep going. Tanjiro noted the parchment and writing utensil in Zenitsu's hands and his jaw hit the ground. Don't write that down! I said it! You can't use it! But Tanjiro! He whined, trying to keep the drawing board out of his grasp. It's not my fault you're better at this! I get nervous around girls, you know. My heart starts fluttering and my words get all jumbled up. I need all the help I can get, okay? Ain't that the truth? Inosuke mumbled. I heard that. Zenitsu lost the upper hand responding to that slight and wound up with the other boy's palm flat against his face. Have mercy, Tanjiro! Tanjiro was able to pin him and swipe the object from his hand. Can I please have that back? I need it more than you anyhow. Why's that? Because she accepted my proposal today. No, she didn't. Yes. She said if I could pay the dowry, she'd agree. Zenitsu, she was just being polite. No way. Once I get that money, she's all mine. He blushed in delight and pulled his pillow into a tight hug. Tanjiro couldn't help but roll his eyes, a strange sort of mirror image to the blonde boy now rolling all over the floor, tangling himself up in a blanket. Traveler-chan is so cute! You think all girls are cute? Inosuke interjected and Zenitsu looked up. They are, aren't they? I've never seen the heavens create a bad one. There are plenty of ugly girl demons. They're demons, though. That's different. What about Nezuko? Tanjiro asked. Well, she'd never hurt a human, so I don't really think of her as one of them. He stated matter-of-factly, and Tanjiro couldn't help but beam at him, looking deeply touched by his words. Oh, come off it! Inosuke threw a pillow in his direction. You thought our host was a monster! Have you seriously never seen an old woman before? Well, no. People who lived in my city were mostly young. To be honest, I hardly remember much before I eloped and got stuck with all that debt. Right after that, Gramps got me out of it and took me way out into the wilderness, where it was just him and his students like me. Did you say elope? What does that word mean? Inosuke scratched his head. Wait, that's right. I never caught that before. So you're saying you've been married before, Zenitsu? Shh! Not so loud, Tanjiro! It's kind of embarrassing. Huh? So you have experience with girls? Both the dark-haired boys leaned in at Inosuke's conclusion, a glint of burning curiosity in their stare. Is that what you're telling us? Experience? Well, yeah, I got pretty good at it. The blonde scratched the back of his neck sheepishly and the other's eyes widened. Whoa, way to go, Monitsu! Inosuke pumped his fist in the air. Hold on. Tanjiro held up a hand and narrowed his eyes skeptically. When you say it, like tying an obi? Sure, I've had loads of practice. Idiot. Inosuke flopped on his back with a grunt and Tanjiro sighed in disappointment. Thought so. Can you hear my voice? Oh my gosh. Just impersonating Inosuke and Zenitsu have killed my voice. I'm having a rough time, guys. This was only part 1. I have mad respect for the Demon Slayer voice actors, guys. You have no idea. Just impersonating them for like 10 minutes does this. How does Zenitsu's voice actors even have vocal cords? I can't even fathom it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.